Have you ever heard a story so strange, so unsettling, that it sounds like something straight out of a horror movie? Well, strap in, because today we read diving into one of history's most baffling and terrifying mysteries, the dancing plague of 1518. It all started on a seemingly ordinary July morning in the city of Strasbourg. A woman, known to history as Frau Trophia, walked out of her home and into the cobblestone street. But she didn't just walk. She began to dance. There was no music playing, no festival, no celebration. Just a lone woman, moving her body in a frantic, silent rhythm. Her neighbors watched, confused at first, then concerned. What they didn't know was that they were witnessing the beginning of a bizarre and deadly epidemic. This wasn't a performance. It was a compulsion. And it would soon grip their entire city in a dance of death. For Frau Trophia, the dancing was relentless. Witnesses from the time reported that she danced for hours on end without rest. As the hours turned into days, her body began to break down. Her feet, raw and bloody, continued to move. Her face was etched with a mixture of agony and a strange, trance-like ecstasy. She was trapped in her own body, a prisoner of an invisible force. She couldn't stop. And then, the unimaginable happened. She wasn't alone anymore. Within a week, more than 30 other people had joined her. Men, women, and even some children were suddenly seized by the same uncontrollable urge. They flooded the streets, their bodies jerking and twisting in this bizarre, silent ballet. The townspeople were terrified. This wasn't a celebration. It felt like a possession. They pleaded with the local priests and authorities, convinced that this was a divine curse, a punishment from God for some unknown sin. But prayers offered no relief. The number of dancers just kept growing. By the middle of August, the situation had spiraled into a full-blown crisis. The so-called dancing plague had infected over 400 people. The city's squares and marketplaces, once bustling with trade, were now filled with a writhing mass of humanity. The scene was chaotic and horrifying. People danced until they collapsed from sheer exhaustion, only to get up and start again once they regained a sliver of strength. The city's leaders were desperate. Their initial belief was that the afflicted were suffering from hot blood and that the only cure was more dancing. In a decision that seems utterly bizarre to us today, they decided to lean into the madness. They cleared out guild halls, erected a large wooden stage in the grain market, and even hired professional musicians and drummers to provide a constant beat. Their hope was that the dancers would simply dance it out, exhausting the fever from their systems. But this backfired spectacularly. The addition of music didn't cure the dancers. It amplified their frenzy, encouraging even more people to join in. The constant thumping rhythm seemed to fuel the plague, turning a strange affliction into a public spectacle of death. The daily toll was grim. People were dying from strokes, heart attacks, and severe dehydration, their bodies giving out under the relentless strain. The streets of Strasbourg had become a dance floor of death. So, what on earth was going on? For 500 years, historians and scientists have debated the cause of this terrifying event, and the theories are as strange as the plague itself. One of the most widely accepted explanations is something called mass psychogenic illness, or mass hysteria. The people of Strasbourg in 1518 were living under immense stress. Famine, disease, and poverty were rampant. The theory goes that the extreme psychological distress of the community manifested physically, triggered by Frau Trophia's initial dance. It became a social contagion, an idea so powerful it could literally make people dance themselves to death. Another compelling theory points to a biological culprit, ergot poisoning. Ergot is a mold that grows on damp rye, a staple grain at the time. This fungus contains psychoactive chemicals that can cause severe muscle spasms, hallucinations, and a feeling of delirium. In fact, ergot is the natural source from which LSD was first synthesized. Could the entire city have been tripping on moldy bread, their frantic dancing a result of a massive, unintentional drug-induced psychosis? It's a chilling thought. And then there are the more supernatural explanations, whispered in the chronicles of the time. Some believed it was a curse from a saint, specifically Saint Vitus, who was known to punish sinners by inflicting uncontrollable dancing. Others suggested it was a secret, ecstatic ritual of a forbidden cult that had spiraled out of control. Was it a psychological breakdown, a biological accident, or something far more mysterious? The truth is, we still don't know for sure. Each theory has its holes, and no single explanation perfectly fits all the facts. The dancing plague remains one of history's most profound and disturbing unsolved mysteries. Then, as September rolled in, the dancing stopped. Just as mysteriously as it began, the compulsion faded. The remaining survivors slowly ceased their movements, collapsing in heaps, bewildered and exhausted. They had no memory of why they started dancing or what force had compelled them for weeks on end. The music fell silent, the stage was dismantled, and the streets of Strasbourg returned to a haunted quiet. The city was left to mourn its dead and grapple with the unanswerable question: what power can seize a community and force hundreds of people to dance until they die? The story of the dancing plague serves as a chilling reminder of how little we sometimes understand about the human mind and the strange, powerful forces that can move us. What do you think really happened in Strasbourg? Let me know your theories down in the comments. Thanks for journeying back in time with me today. If you enjoyed this dive into one of history's weirdest events, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more explorations into the unknown. We'll see you in the next one.